right, here are the things that I'm going to use today, or at least I'll pick out some from this. So I have some brown yarn. This is just kind of a thin yarn I'm going to use for hair. You could also use embroidery floss or a different color yarn. I'm just going with brown. I also have embroidery floss. I have like floral wire, sort of covered with fabric, string, something. Some flowers, sort of Christmassy themed. Some bows, I'm going to use those for wings. I also have these, which I've obviously never opened, and maybe I could use those for wings or embellishments somewhere along the line. I have ribbon, it's sort of a skinny red velvet ribbon. Usually I use these for like eyes and mouth and cheeks, but I thought I might also try these chalk markers because they're a little less stinky and gross. And then I have a bunch of beads. I have these for little jewelry for their arms, lots of heads. These are wooden beads, and some pony beads. It doesn't matter what colors because you'll never see them, ideally. We'll also need our trusty hot glue gun, some kind of a multi-tool for cutting the wire, scissors for cutting things that are not wire. So you'll cut your floral wire into 2 pieces per fairy. Your legs will be around 9 inches long, and your arms and neck, so this is already folded, but it's maybe around 5.5 inches long. 6 if you want it a little bit longer. So this is going to be your arms with the neck right there. You take your legs, bend them over, and we'll use embroidery floss to attach those together. Then since I'm making Christmas fairies, I think I'm going to put some of that thicker ribbon over just to make her look a little bit prettier. First, you wind the embroidery floss around to secure the arms and legs. Glue the end down in the back when you're finished. Now we can cover the embroidery floss with that velvet ribbon. So I stuck it down in the back, wrapped it around a few times, and then glued it again in the back. Now you can grab a wooden bead for a head. I like a nice big head. Then use your preferred markers to add a face, and hot glue it to the neck. Then you can pick out a flower for her skirt or a couple flowers layered together. Pull out any plastic that's blocking the hole in the center, and you can also trim any longer stems. Thread a pony bead over both legs, put some glue under the skirt, and squish it together. Then you can adjust her skirts. I thought this flower was 2 layers, but nope, they're all stuck together. So I just yanked out the middle, and oh my goodness, so much glitter came off. I thought her skirt needed some green underneath. Secure it all with a bead glued underneath. Better. So the bows have twisties on the back, and I'm cutting that off and flattening them out. Then you can just glue them on her back like wings. You can also use silk butterflies or leaves, something like that. Now it's time for hair. So I'm just looping the yarn around my fingers 6 or 7 times and tying it in the middle with leftover embroidery floss. Then I cut the ends of the loops. I'm going to unwind the individual strands so it looks more like curly hair. You could keep it. Secure the hair with hot glue, and don't forget the back of the head, so it looks more like actual hair. I'm going to try to make a teeny tiny bow. Tiny bows are hard. There, a bow for her, and this one is fine without. Aren't they cute?